So, as we do know, we are very close to the 4.x era for Honkai Star Rail. I'm sure a lot of you are wondering if we have any information going into it as we are approaching it, but we're not relatively there yet. We still have the rest of 3.7, which is roughly about 3 more weeks as I'm uploading this video. Then we have the entirety of 3.8 back in Penacony, and then we get 4.0 going forward. So I went ahead and dug up all the info we do know so far about 3.x. Of course, it's all speculation and subject to change, because even though it's reliable, it can end up changing, which I'll have a disclaimer in a second. I just went up with all the info I could find and what we do know. So today, I'm going to be making a video on it and talking about everything we do so far know. So as I mentioned, I want to have a disclaimer, especially for a video like this where the info is very early. All this is subject to change. A lot of it might make it in, a lot of it might not make it in at all. A good amount could be changed somewhat, or the characters could be changed. There's just so much stuff that could be changed right now, as this is all early development, quote unquote. So take everything I'm going to say in this video with a grain of salt, because it could end up being different. Even though a lot of this is by reliable people, it could still end up being different. And the best thing you can do is to wait for when they officially do the 4.x stream. They start posting the drip marketing stuff. Like, we have the Game Awards soon, so maybe they'll even like post stuff there. But yeah, again, just take all this with a grain of salt, especially because of how early it is. So for starters, I want to address something that did obviously happen that you might have heard of or not. Originally, what we did seem to go to was the Edo Star, but that is seeming to be changed due to actual real-life complications between Japan and China. So because of that, we might end up having to rebrand everything. Whatever is done in the story-wise, the character-wise, probably even design-wise for the most part, unless there were Japanese-coded stuff, is probably going to be the same. But the location, some areas, and obviously some stuff is going to have to be redesigned because of it. So that is what we do seem to know so far. Unfortunate that this happened, but you know, what can we really do? So yeah, what was supposed to be Edo Star might be what we're going to, but of course all changed and stuff, so it's probably not going to be Edo Star anymore. It's going to be completely different with the names and such. If there's Japanese names, it's probably going to be tweaked. We'll see though, maybe we get lucky and it ends up being the same anyways. I don't know, it really depends on what they do. That's what we know so far location-wise. Character-wise, this does seem like we're getting a bunch of SPs of currently beloved characters. So this might really be the era of SP of existing characters. And I don't mean XP, I don't mean like Honkai 3rd characters into Star Rail, not like that. I mean like existing characters in Star Rail are getting that. Pretty much like how we called IL Donning SP at one point. But there are a total of 7 characters that we are expecting to potentially get an SP. These characters include Sparkle, Aventurine, Welt, Himiko, Blade, Silverwolf, and Luocha. Sparkle is the one we honestly most expected because it's supposed to be like Edo Star related. It's gonna potentially be Elation related. That's also something I should mention. The whole theme of like a new path we're probably gonna get is going to be Elation. And if I also had to guess, it's going to be different than how Remembrance was. Like, the whole thing before we got Remembrance on a new path is we went off Simulated Universe stuff. They're probably going to change up Elation, because Elation right now and like the Simulated Universe stuff was supposed to be follow-up attack related. What we do think so far is it's going to be skill point related, so that's what we are thinking right now. It's just like how Remembrance originally was like freeze related and stuff, but then ended up becoming Memo Spray entirely. Just like Elation, it's probably going to change from follow-up attack, so it's probably not going to end up being follow-up attack related at all, or maybe it will, who knows. It's probably just mainly going to be the SP related meta that we expect. But yeah, those characters I listed are the ones expected to be getting an SP, so a lot of more recent sided characters. So a lot of very popular characters, especially people like Sparkle, Blade, Silverwolf, so on. If Aventurine does get an SP, that means I'm going to have to go for another E6, so please send help. Of course, we don't have an idea on how they're going to look and such. If I had to guess, most of them will have the same around details, but obviously maybe different clothes. Some info also did suggest that some of these characters might have different appearances, and by that I mean obviously like character model. So maybe some might appear taller, some might appear, you know, different characters. Like, we don't have that many models in the game, so I don't know how it's going to work. Obviously, they're all going to have different designs. They're not going to have the same exact design. So yeah, once again, SP-wise, we are expecting Sparkle, Aventurine, Welt, Himiko, Blade, Silverwolf, and Luocha. Luocha specifically is a bit odd, since there's like a whole thing of Honkai 3rd where we had Auto and also Void Archives, and Void Archives is in Welt Splash Art, and if Welt does get an SP, it would make sense that this would be mainly Void Archives rather than actually Luocha. So when we find out who's Auto, who's the Void Archive stuff, maybe we'll figure that out here. So it's going to be a bit iffy for him if I had to guess. I hope we do get more info on that soon. Both equally as bad for me because I love both Void Archives and Auto, so please save me. And then when it comes to new character wise, we don't have too much info. And I mean like new characters, like the ones we haven't seen before. Like I mentioned all the characters SP, obviously they're going to be new characters and not tied to the original ones. At least that is what we are mostly thinking. We're not thinking any of these SPs are going to be path changes. They're probably going to be their new standalone 5 stars. But yeah, for new characters, like the ones that are going to be introduced in the 4.x story and such, there are 2 very notable ones. I'll say the name of one of them because we already know the name, but the other one I won't say the name of. But one of them, which is the one I'm not going to say the name of, is actually seeming to be a Galaxy Ranger. So a part of Bootail Rappa's group. Will they also be Break related? Will Dahlia receive more value going forward because of just Break being a weird archetype that received like 1 change per patch? We'll see. So yeah, Galaxy Ranger seems like we're finally getting another one. We haven't gotten one since Rappa, which was weird since we didn't get one in the entirety of 3.x, which I probably shouldn't say is weird. Makes sense. We were in Emphorius. But yeah, we are seeming to get a Galaxy Ranger on the earlier side as well. And the other character that we already know the name of is actually Pearl. If you don't actually know who Pearl is one of the 10 Stonehearts. So the people in the group with Aventurine, Topaz, Jade, and so on. So part of the IPC, mainly the 10 Stonehearts under Diamond. That's who I'm mainly scared for because there is no way, even if I don't like the character, I'm going to pull for every Stoneheart. I have to get them all. So yeah, what we do know character-wise is it seems like we are going to get another Galaxy Ranger and a 10 Stoneheart. That's going to be very cool. Since 3.x was all focused on Emphorius, we weren't going to get like any outside correlations and such besides the very end and also beginning technically with the Herda, who was not part of Emphorius but, you know, played a major role. And now at the end we're done Emphorius, we're going back to Fenaconi, so that's why we're getting the Dahlia instead. So now that we're more on the outside terms where you can have more people seen and not completely be blind to the naked eye in a planet, we are going to potentially see more characters like that. And by that I mean SP wise, and then also characters with big titles like the 10 Stonehearts and Galaxy Rangers. But that is practically it. That is practically all the info we do know. So about all the SPs, what characters that are going to be on the newer side, what's going on with the location and stuff, the stuff to how we're going to go to like Elation and such for the new path. Of course, once again, take all this with a grain of salt because it is very early info. I cannot stress this enough. Everything here could end up being true, could be false, could be somewhat tweaked, half true, half false, so on and so forth. Take all this with a grain of salt, and the best thing you can do is to wait for when 4.0 starts, or at least when they start announcing stuff for 4.0, again, potentially Game Awards next month, or just when the 4.0 stream happens during 3.8. But yeah, again, that practically is it for the video. If you are hyped for any of this, definitely comment down below. For me personally, I am terrified. I probably will have to pull up on all those SPs, E6 Aventurine, no doubt. If Himiko actually does get an SP, if she ends up dying, I will be very pissed. Anyway, yep, if you found this video helpful, dropping a like would be greatly appreciated. If you're new to this channel or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon for future videos like this along with all our types of content. Check the description to join the Discord server and check out my Archetypes channel, and I'll see you later. Peace out.